thank you very much, my esteemed Rotarian. Congratulations, fellow Rotarians, and happy World Peace Day. I'm indeed excited to be here. And, well, we are not new to the discourse of the day. We are all active peace builders in our own right. What I'm about to present to us today is one that Rotary clubs in Nigeria are already practicing, and we're recording tremendous results in the level of peacefulness in local communities. As Rotarian Smith rightly spoke about earlier, grading Nigeria's level of peacefulness according to the GPI Global Peace Index, you will agree with me that a lot of work needs to be done. And Rotarians such as myself and like minds have taken up the challenge to build peace and to ensure sustainable development, so that when next Institute for Economics and Peace is giving us the indices of level of peacefulness, Nigeria would be at least among top 100. So today we're talking about the 8 pillars of positive peace, a model for Rotary Club activities. I want to thank Rotarian Smita once more for giving me the opportunity to present this. She saw this online and she really picked interest in it. And I hope it will help Rotarians in India and Bangladesh to actualize peacefulness and deepen Rotary efforts in those countries, just as we are doing over here. Now, she has already set the ball rolling by laying the background for the definition of peace, introducing IEP as the case may be, and other concepts of peace. So my work is very much simplified. Okay, the introduction of this whole concept is the basic things to inform us or to refresh our memory on the knowledge required, the theory required, and most importantly, the practice of this theory and initiative, this very new model that deepens impact. And what we will be learning at the end of the day is how Rotary's 7 area of focus intersects with the 8 pillars of positive peace, learn how we can design club activities so that it could use the positive peace model and target the 8 pillars of peace in every community. And lastly, you understand the advantages of using the positive peace model for Rotary Club activities, which in this case is the 8 pillars of peace. Now, the whole essence is about being conscious and being deliberate in our approach, so that when we conduct our needs assessment as Rotarians, when we want to intervene and provide social amenities to local communities, we target every 8 pillar and at the end call for action and deliver the right message. All right. I'm going to make this slide available, so I want to quickly pay attention to the practicality of this concept, the workability, how to put it into practice, which is the most interesting part of this work. Now, IEP, as Rotarian Smith mentioned earlier, is a think tank organization, and the beauty of this organization is that their whole concept is towards testing the level of peacefulness in countries and grading them accordingly. But another aspect is about the forecast analysis projections, and they make these projections based on what characteristics every country has. They could rightly look at a country and say, because these attributes are prevalent in a country, you may not be able to withstand certain shocks. So they publish research materials in the line of terrorism to rate countries in terms of peacefulness, COVID-19, social amenities. So of course, I would advise us to look it up and see how these research materials could help us in what we do as peace builders and in delivering social welfare in our communities. Let me quickly mention that Rotary and IEP are partners. They are partners because both organizations feeds off the tools of the other. What we do as Rotarians, there are 7 areas of focus. Our everyday engagement builds peace in communities. But when you marry this with the concept of IEP, 8 pillars of peace, positive peace, other tools of IEP, you find out that it gives you a better approach, a more sustainable approach, an approach that enhances Rotary works and Rotarians' efforts across the country. Now, Rotarian Smith, like I mentioned earlier, made it simplified everything by defining positive, negative peace. So we already have a grasp of what this is talking about. Peace have moved beyond the fear of violence or absence of violence to talking about attitudes and institutions. That is what this new objective is about. How to use these tools to influence institutions and attitudes, not just Rotary projects, intervention projects helping communities. No, how can those projects help influence attitudes and structures in local communities? Now, let me quickly say that community in this balance is not just the local, tangible community that we know as a community of state or a community of country or a community of grassroots community. It can also be intangible, depending on your sample size or the sector you are targeting. Now, the 8 pillars of peace, this is it. Ranking from the well-functioning government, equitable distribution of peace, of resources, through to sound business environment. Now, the IEP have done the heavy work for us by identifying these 8 pillars of peace and helping us know that every aspect of society, the sustainability, the peaceful level of every society is influenced by these 8 pillars. So I'm going to show us the relationship of these 8 pillars of peace, Rotary 7 areas of focus, SDG goals 17. And then when you put this thing together and deliver a service project, it turns out excellently well, not just sustainable, not just impactful, but it also addresses root causes of violence. And that is the hallmark of today's presentation. Now, looking at the SDGs and everything, I would want this diagram to really sink in. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here. Look at the 8 pillars of peace right there in the middle. You see some colors in every of those circles. These colors are traceable to the 7 areas of Rotary focus, and then there are numbers in the boxes of the 7 areas of Rotary focus, referring to the goal 17 of SDG. What am I trying to say? If we take a pillar of peace like equitable distribution of resources, you could see purple under, you could see orange under, and you could see light blue in that circle. The purple refers to maternal and child health, and activities of Rotarians in this area of focus directly influences Goal 3, Goal 5, and Goal 10 of SDGs. Activities of Rotarians in orange is disease prevention and treatment, directly addresses SDG Goal 1, Goal 3, Goal 5, Goal 10, Goal 11, Goal 17. And then activities of the light blue, which is water and sanitation, impacts on SDG Goal 4, 5, and 6. Now, this is a blueprint, a bird-eye view that I've come to encourage Rotarians in Nigeria to really work with, because when you are looking at it this way, it helps you understand what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, the impact you want to have in every local community of interest, that you are trying to correct the social structure or institutions that is responsible for their level of peace or conflict. Now, bringing this to the practical terms, side by side with the 8 pillars of peace, the 7 areas of focus, and avenues of service, the workability is simple. Now, you do your needs assessment, you get the information, the data you need to work with, you get to know what the community needs or requires or lacks, you bring it to the 8 pillars of peace and see what you are trying to correct. If you see a community, for instance, that lacks health care, you don't just provide health care or rehabilitate existing primary health care. You make inquiries. From those inquiries, you will get to know if the situation they find themselves in have to do with governance issues, or have to do with equitable distribution of resources, or have to do with tolerance. You know how to address those things. By the time you follow the next arrow to the 7 areas of focus in your needs assessment, you know what you are targeting in Rotary. And then you come to the avenues of service, the 5 director avenues. You will know which classification, which club member, which department will better handle a certain intervention initiative. Now, the whole uniqueness of this approach is when you applied a theory of change. You know, the theory of if X then Y because Z. Simply meaning if we do this, then it will lead to this change in the community because of this assumption or this understanding that we have or this fact that we know. In this case, the fact that you know is from the needs assessment, from the inquiries, from your interrogations in that community, asking them what they want, why they lack what they lack, if they had it before, asking them about the reason for their conflict, were they cohabiting before, was there migration before, and then with the informations you have, you know that if you do this, this will be the end result. That makes this approach so unique. You know, it provides you with all the deliverables. It's a bird eye view, like I like to refer to it. Now, I want to show us a practical example of projects that this initiative have been used to implement and how it really works. One is the Watchers Project. Secondly is the Rotary Club of Abuja Kubu Akunga Boko Intervention Project. Now, starting with this Watchers Project, this project is intended to first curb and report insecurity, prevent gender-based violence and child trafficking, build and sustain peace in local communities, maintain clean environments, and prevent open defecation. Now, the picture on your screen are what we refer to in Nigeria as local vigilante groups. These are basically youths or retirees that are not really professional militias or professional security personnel. They are trained as local security with local information. Therefore, their knowledge or skill is somewhat limited. Now, these problems I listed are prevalent in several communities in Nigeria. Insecurity, there are lots of communal clashes for either ethnic or religious. And then these are like the vigilantes are the first responders in local communities, but they don't have the prerequisite knowledge to address this. So before it gets to the attention of the mainstream security network, it has already escalated. So how do we address this root cause of conflict? We need to train these people in not just addressing hot violence, but in also identifying the traces or impending dangers that could trigger or could metamorphose to hot violence. That is where preventing gender-based violence comes in, because we find that many issues of domestic violence spiraling out of control to become communal conflicts. A case of batter and reprisal attack, a case of neighbors conflict and what spiraling due to different religion or different ethnic groups, then it takes another connotation. You know, we also train them on mediation, so they don't just come and stop violence and go. No, you mediate. You find out what led to this, why are you people fighting, what led to this conflict, you mediate. And then issues of environment that has to do with open defecation, we give them the ownership of having to address this environmental degradation issues. You know, after training, provide them with practical tools, and then they find it very offensive to meet an individual in the bush or in the gutter or gully defecating. You know, so with this, it has linkages. With this approach, there are linkages. You find out that when you use this approach of having an 8 pillar of peace, having a Rotary area of focus, avenues of service, it has a spillover effect. It gets everybody involved in doing one thing or the other, and it really optimizes resources. But we'll get to that. The next project lays even a better credence to the scenario and the advantages I just mentioned. This is a project by Rotary Club of Abuja Kubwa, was commissioned last Rotary year, and the objective was to rehabilitate a primary school in that community. But this club didn't just go and rehabilitate this primary school. They inquired about why the dilapidation in that primary school, why the low manpower, why are the teachers Why are the students not being taught well and everything? Why are parents not being able to send their wards to school for learning? And at the end of the day, there was need to do a peace dialogue and mediate between in the community between the both divides, Christian, Muslim, and other tribes. There was need to do a vocational training. There was need to empower women with startup capital so that they could have funds to send their children to school. There was need to mark the occasion of that peace agreement amongst both religious groups by planting a peace pillar and planting a flower, getting the stakeholders to plant a flower. And also, we went further to set up a peace and security council to watch the peacefulness of that community, to be in charge of the peacefulness of that community. That is the advantage this approach gives you, because it doesn't just tell you that, it doesn't just tell you what you already know or what you see. Now what we can see is that this school is dilapidated. This school has less skilled teachers. Students don't attend this school. This is what you can see. This is what a needs assessment of 2 minutes you could gather data. But when you probe further, you find out that there are linkages, there are root causes. The school didn't just get dilapidated after construction. Children don't just stop going to school. There was a reason to that. And at the end, when you gather all these informations, you can use one intervention program to administer development across board. And that is what Rotary Club of Abuja Kubwa was able to do in one day. Instead of coming in a month to do vocational training and go back, mobilize again, come and do empowerment, give startup capital to women and go back, come again in February to do peace building and go back, come again in September to do basic education. No, it was discovered that this is the intervention program that we need to administer to this community because of the information we have. And using that theory XYZ, they knew that if they do this, they will get this end result. And this project was very majestic, but optimized resources, because they find out that you don't spend much capital. So, and then you have a vibrant club. So it's not just about spending much money. It helps you save resources really pretty well. Now coming to the advantages, that's where I want to pay much attention on. It makes the project very much easier for planning and implementation, because you know what you want to achieve, you know who would do what, when, and how. You know people to delegate on the job through your classification survey in every clubs. You know which club member can handle which initiative, which club member has the capacity to do what. Then it saves time and cost. Instead of toggling a community back and forth, you could visit a community, address root causes of their conflict, administer better social welfare, but most importantly, deliver the right message. Because I keep telling Rotarians in Nigeria here, what we do, we are augmenting the government, we are assisting, we are being responsible citizens to the government. We can never replace the government. So it's important that at the end of our intervention programs, having done our part as responsible citizens, we should use that platform to send the right message, call to action to statutory institutions and organizations to pay more attention. That is where sustainability comes in. That is where the 8 pillars get strengthened. If it's a root cause that has to do with lack of governance, or that rubs off on corruption, or that rubs off on human capital development, we use the avenue and platform of our engagement to demand for more action from the government or whichever institution that is responsible to administer progress in that sector. Now, I've already said that this process optimizes, utilizes resources to optimum impact. It also encourages effective club members' engagement. You find out that the 5 avenues of service, every director have their committee, 5, 4 as the case may be, or even more, with your blueprint, with that bird eye view of your needs assessment, your 8 pillars of peace, the 7 areas of focus, and the avenues of service. You find out that everybody is involved. In this project, the Directorate of Youth is involved, Club Service Director is involved, Vocational Training is involved. It's only International Service that is not involved there. So you can at least have 20 Rotarians planning this project. It leads to a vibrant club. It keeps everybody busy. It carries everybody along. It keeps everybody engaged. So it's a win-win at the end of the day. You don't just do project and go. No, it also gives you a vibrant club, as there's no room for docility, as the case may be. In parting words, I'm saying that the advantages of using this model is beyond enumeration, because you deliver strategic, impactful projects at a low cost, at a low resources, and then it gives you the good Rotary image and a vibrant club. Now, other advantages of activating positive peace has to do directly with the 8 pillars of peace. The 8 pillars of peace, it gives you a strengthened and reinforced 8 pillar of peace. And the beauty of peace building. No country can say because Iceland is number one in global peace index, they no longer need to invest in peace. That's not true. Peace is a continue. Even if you attain peaceful environment, sustainable peace, you need to keep it there. You need to keep investing in peace infrastructure. You need to be investing in your judicial system, in your justice system, in your human capital development to have literate citizenry, informed citizenry. You need to be investing in your legislation to have good policies for business. You need to be investing in your foreign relations to make sure that you have a conducive environment for foreign direct investment to strive, for tourists to cohabit, and everything. And then the dynamic of peace building is that is both external and internal, interpersonal and intrapersonal. So you need to also ensure that your citizens find the conducive environment to strive, to get their equity. If they feel shortchanged, to address their issues satisfactorily. So no country can say we have peace, we have done it all, we no longer need to invest in peace, let's face another sector. No, you keep reinvesting into peace and sustainable development, and that is where Rotarians come to play. Our activities must strive to enhance every 8 pillar of peace or any 8 pillar of peace with our intervention programs. Now, in summary, conclusion, and recommendation, like I mentioned earlier, Rotarians are only responsible citizens in their countries. We are assisting government. We can't inherit the burden of governance. So it's important that while we administer intervention programs, we agitate for action. We agitate for those responsible to wake up to their responsibilities, to administer whatever deliverable they are expected to administer. If it's good governance, if it is better education system, if it's better information, it takes the whole 8 pillars of peace to have a sustainable environment. And that is where Rotarians should concentrate their efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom, and it was really inspiring. Like you said, peace needs it's high time for peace to be addressed. Moving